I think that music is one of the most powerful things in the world. I'm a 14-year-old high school girl. I love pop and rap and EDM and jazz and classical. I can't really remember a time where I wasn't around music. And I grew up in a very musical household because my brothers and sisters played, my mom played, she sings. I started writing music, like actual tangible songs, when I was like 3, 2-ish, and I started classical lessons when I was almost 5.
I think she was about 4 when I actually heard her play for the first time, and I thought, that's remarkable. I first met Emily when she was about this big, because I've known her since she was born. I was hearing stories about how she could play tunes on the piano at age 3, and she was picking out tunes and finding chords. She just seemed to have this particular natural ability. The most remarkable thing about Emily is that she is an incredibly talented pianist, but she's also a composer. She also writes music, and this is what really sets her apart. To know that we are going to present a piece, The Bravest Journey, that was written by a 13-year-old girl. This was very exciting.
When Steve told me it was an event, honoring the veterans and people who have served, I felt honored to write a piece for the veterans because I feel like they don't get enough credit for what they've done. When someone is getting drafted or enlisted, they realize that they're leaving everything behind. But they know that they're going to come back a different person, whether it's physically or emotionally. You have to be a really strong person to serve in the military and fight for their country and, basically die for your country and risk your life. When I get inspired by something, I feel like it just comes through in the music that I write. I'm a very emotional writer because when I write music, some people don't do it based off of feel, but I feel like I definitely do that. The Bravest Journey was a little different from other pieces that I've written because it was more like a piano with orchestra, basically instead of an orchestra that had a piano in it. After the first section, the tempo kind of picks up. It's a little more militaristic. Trumpets and snare drums are used a lot for more of a military kind of sound. The next part is actually when they're in the battle, and it's pretty intense and has a little bit of a different mood, so it's less exciting and a little more grim. And then the next section after that actually is when they're seeing the aftermath of what happened and when they're sent home. playing The Bravest Journey in front of thousands of veterans. It's like a very emotional thing. We call it like a magic moment when you first hear it being played by an orchestra because, I mean, there's nothing really like that. You know, you've been imagining it in your head for so long, and then finally it's being played in front of you.
The thing about Emily's music is that you never feel that it's faked. You never feel that it's casual. It's from the heart, it's sincere, and somehow it just comes out right. I just keep on thinking about Mozart when I think about Emily, because they both started composing and playing piano at just about the same age. The fluidness of the composition, the ability to harness a feeling and to bring that out in music, this is something that you can't train, you can't teach somebody. She knows how to do it. While she's playing, in the midst of when you would expect a pianist to maybe be deep in concentration, in the midst of performing music, she'll look over at somebody in the orchestra and smile. You just don't see that very often, and it's just really refreshing.
We posted The Bravest Journey on YouTube, and we started getting these comments from the veterans and soldiers of how much they could relate to the piece and how much it reminded them of their time they served. I knew that I was inspired by this, but I didn't know how much it could touch other people's lives. I feel like the title actually speaks for itself because it truly is The Bravest Journey.
interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
Many of us thought it was just another practice until you turn on the radio and they said, this is the real thing, this is the real thing. And then we went outside and you could see the planes flying over with the red dots on the wings.
When Pearl Harbor broke out and when I was taken into the service by the Selective Service System, I left the southern Wisconsin farm that I was on, and as 19 years old, was thrust into an infantry organization, and then after that became a combat medic, and I had no medical school at that particular time.
We had a charge over the seawall, and this is when I heard, in boot camp, the Marines, the finest fighting force in the world. I remember going over that seawall and we zigzagged forward and bullets was hitting the sand and they were explosive bullets, I thought, I realized that not one Marine turned back. Every one of them went forward. And I realized, hey, there's something pretty special with these guys.
I distinctly remember the night before he left. He did not want me to come to the airport. He wanted to say goodbye to me here in Rockford. And all my family was there, and Pat's family was there. And it was gut-wrenching is just all I can say. Hugging him goodbye and, didn't want to let go of him. In fact, kind of brings tears to my eyes to think about it.
I knew there was a possibility that if something bad happened, I might be coming home in a box. And that was probably the scariest time of my life is while I was deployed.
I don't think there's anything worse than burying your child. I don't think there's anything worse than that. I can't think of it.
When you're fighting, you really, really appreciate the real reason why you're there. And it's not mom, dad, and apple pie. It's not the Constitution. It's that guy to your right and to your left and ensuring that they come home.
We came back home to the world, We came back home to the land where nothing's going on, nothing's wrong, everything's samey every day. People going to work, coming home, cookouts in the backyard. You're sitting there trying to act normal, And so I never told anybody, until I spoke with my dad that evening. Yeah, it's the first time somebody hugged me about it. And got it. They understood.
I happened to meet a lady who was from France, and we got talking, and she said, have you ever been to Paris? And I said, yes. I was there several times during and after World War II. Oh, she said, you were in the war. I said, yes. Well, she came up to me with her husband and 2 kids, and they all hugged me and thanked me for giving them back their country. That's very meaningful, There's a lot of good in this world, and we don't always see it, but it's there.
I ran into someone, and they thanked me for my service, and the way they said it was the greatest thank you I've ever had. And he told me, thank you for serving so I didn't have to.